Hey everybody, and welcome to Meals with Melissa, where we come up with healthier versions of things that you love to eat. Now, of course, I like to keep these uncomplicated because I just don't do complicated. Not only that, but you don't need a lot of ingredients for things to be really taste good or be healthy for you. So today we are going to make, they look like muffins, but what we are making today is gluten-free and really low carb for the most part. There's some fruit in it, but there's no actual added sugar besides the banana. But we are making I gotta see if I can get this right. Apple cinnamon baked oatmeal. Like I said, they look like muffins. You can call them muffins, call them whatever you want, but they're definitely healthier for you than what you're going to get at the grocery store. So super, super simple. I'm gonna give you a couple of alternatives as well because some of the ingredients, there's more than one thing you can do. So we'll talk about that as we go. Now, I've already got my oven set to 375. It's preheating. And I've also used some cupcake liners in my muffin tin because it's a heck of a lot easier than trying to clean it if you just bake them directly in there. And it's super, super simple to throw them in a container and then pull them out when you need them and take them with you wherever you are going or what you're doing. So we're going to start with the sweetness in our muffins, and that is just a banana. So we're going to start with just one banana. I'm going to break it up a little bit and I'm going to mash it so that it can mix in. Like I said, this is super simple. This isn't gonna be your average looking muffin because there's actually really zero flour in it. What you're gonna get for the bulk is rolled oats. So that will be coming in a minute. I'm gonna use my fork and mash these up. And yes, now I am doing a half batch, per usual, only because that way I can try them out, see if the family likes them, see how they turn out, make any necessary adjustments, and then make the second half of the batch. And I'm not using a ton of ingredients, especially considering I've had some epic fails on these. So I always like to try them before I recommend them to you. And these are just super simple. About a year ago or so, I did a recipe that was banana bread. It was only 4 ingredients. Now that one actually included some almond or some peanut butter, and this one does not. But you know, that's always an ingredient you can add if you are trying to add a little bit more healthy fat to it. Okay, so I'm just getting these nice and mush because I want it to be able to mix in with my other ingredients. And to this, I'm going to add okay, so it's supposed to be 1 egg. So here's how we're gonna do that today. Now, I'm actually gonna use egg whites. And the reason being is that because I'm making a half batch, really difficult to break an egg into halves, if that makes sense. Even if you mix it up and try to break it in half or to divide it in half, really tough to do with eggs. I know, I tried. So for this one, we are going to use egg whites, but normally I would just use the whole egg because you know that the vitamins and minerals are actually in the yolk. So even though we do a lot of egg whites at my house, you know, I actually do eat a lot of whole eggs as well. I prefer them directly from the chicken, not from the store. My son has some chickens, and I also have a couple farmers here that I do that have chickens. I do buy from them from time to time as well because I want the real deal if I possibly can handle it. Okay, so to this I'm going to add, I have these lovely set. This is kind of cool set because it has all the different measurements, including like 1/8 teaspoon, which is really hard to find. But what I'm gonna do today is a tablespoon and a half of egg whites. Now, 3 egg whites tends to equal a whole egg, at least by Kirkland standards, what they've got on their carton. So I'm gonna do a tablespoon and a half. And yeah, I'm doing the full tablespoon and not just 3 halves. Okay, I'm gonna add that. And to that, I'm gonna add 1 cup of rolled oats. Now, I don't recommend that you use instant. Definitely don't use the envelopes that help you make the instant option because you understand that, number one, the product's been broken down even further and processed even further, so it does break down quicker into sugar into your system. But not only that, all of those instant options contain a ton of sugar, and if you've heard from me before, you know how I feel about that. Sugar is what causes people to get fat, not healthy fats. All right, so I'm gonna add 1 cup. Again, this is a half batch, okay? And to that, I'm going to add a half of a teaspoon of baking powder. Okay, so got my little half teaspoon here. Baking powder, got my leavening agent. Super simple. I'm not gonna actually mix it again until I get all these ingredients in there, okay? I'm also gonna add a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. But believe it or not, we're almost done. Okay, so half a teaspoon of cinnamon. We use plenty of cinnamon around our house because technically it's a freebie. It's actually kind of good for you. I don't prefer to buy the cheap cheapest option, but we use enough that sometimes we do. Okay, so to that I'm also gonna add a 1/4 cup of milk. Now, I'm actually adding whole milk. Let me tell you my philosophy on milk. We do a lot of dairy-free at my house, which I think is necessary. You know, milk is not something that technically you need after you've been an infant. And most of us lose lactase production as we get older, which is the enzyme that breaks down lactose, which is in milk. That is why most of us tend to be extremely lactose intolerant, including yours truly. But today we are using whole milk. I prefer, if I have to use milk itself, I'm gonna use whole versus skim, and here's why. I grew up on skim milk. I heard all the blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, the less fat it has, the more processed it is, and that is a problem. Because honestly, if I use 2% or skim, I actually have more gut issues than if I use whole milk. However, if you don't do dairy, you can use an alternative, like a nut milk, like almond milk or cashew milk or oat milk. Those are all acceptable options, because honestly, it's not really gonna make that big of a difference in the recipe itself. So I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup. I'm actually gonna mix that. Oops, I gotta add a little pinch of salt. And I'm just kinda, you know, eyeballing that one. Okay, I'm gonna mix it up. And then to that, I'm going to add 1/2 of an apple in peeled and sliced in little cubes. Okay, now it's gonna seem extremely wet. That is okay, trust me, it bakes out just fine. As a matter of fact, you don't want to over bake it or it will become extremely dry. That's it, that's all the ingredients. It's really super simple. I will post this down below when I'm done. Okay, so to that, I've got 1/2 an apple, and I think I grabbed a Fuji. Granny Smith is great because it gives a little bit of tart as well, along with the fact that the less sweet it is, obviously the less natural sugar that is in it. Now, if you don't do banana, because I know that banana is high in natural sugars, you could also do applesauce. Now, the downside to that is it's really easy to get an applesauce that has a lot of sugar. So you have to learn to do your due diligence and learn to read ingredient labels. Not just the nutrition part of it, the nutrition label part of it. You have to actually learn to read the ingredient label, because they really do try to add a lot of extra things in there to make it taste good and then tell you it's healthy. So I'm gonna add this in, and I've already got my tin prepared, and my oven is just about hot enough, and I am gonna show you in a second what these are gonna look like, because I made some. All right, and I forgot to grab my lovely scooper. So let me grab that. I'm pretty sure it's in here. Or not, it might be over here. Boom, all right. I actually like to use a scoop because that way what I dish out into each little tin is even. Now the benefit of using a tin and making these in more of an, I can't even talk today, a muffin size is that you've already pre-portioned this out. Now, for those of you who use MyFitnessPal, do you know that you can actually add recipes in there, and you can actually save them too, and then decide how much of a serving size that you want. So a 1/2 batch is actually gonna make 6 muffins. So a full batch will obviously make a dozen. Makes it super, super easy. If you wanna add that recipe to MyFitnessPal, it will break it down for you, and then you can decide, like if you have 2 muffins, right? Then that, if you made a full batch, that's what you've entered, then you're using 2/12 or what, 1/6, whatever, the recipe. So I'm gonna fill these muffins. My oven just beeped and told me it was ready. But before I'm done with this, because this will take a minute, I am going to show you what they look like. So they turn out really great. They're not gonna flatten. They're not gonna really change texture. They will become a lot drier as the moisture cooks out. But like I said, super, super easy if you just use a muffin or a cupcake wrapper in there. I actually recommend the foil ones that have like a good lining. Those paper ones, they tend to bleed through really super easy. So here's how it looks. This lovely little muffin right here. And if you cut it open, you can see all the apple goodness in there. Now, like I said, you could use applesauce. You know, you can play with the ingredients. It's not that complicated. Just start with the basic recipe. Look at that. There's some really pretty apple in there. It's gonna taste super, super yummy. So try it out. Tell me what you think. If you came up with something slightly different and it works, let us know, because we like to share this information. This is why we do this. I see a lot of people are doing a lot of baking because everybody's at home being quarantined. Here's the problem with that, guys. Once in a while is fine, but I don't want you to come out the other end of this situation coming out much unhealthier than when you started. This should be a wake-up call that, you know, your health is super, super important. And that's really, really what I hope you get out of all this. So, you know, check out my other recipes. Every time I do this, I actually have them uploaded to YouTube, so you can check out my YouTube channel and go back for 3 years worth of recipes and see if you can find something that works for you and find something your family loves. We love it. Also, don't be afraid. If you have a great recipe you'd love to share and you think it would be something great on here, let me know. I'm gonna give you the credit for it, okay? Because I don't come up with any of these myself. But have an incredible weekend, you guys. Please stay healthy, please enjoy yourself, and make sure that you treat your mental and emotional health just as important as your physical health, you guys. Stay healthy. We'll see you soon.